Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Welcome. My name is Teresa Osborne. I have the privilege of serving as the Secretary of the Pennsylvania Department of Aging, and I am honored, incredibly honored, to host our Commonwealth's recognition of World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. A single day, today, this day, June 15, 2016, the day designated by the International Network for the Prevention of Elder Abuse and the World Health Organization at the United Nations to provide an opportunity for communities around the world to promote a better understanding of abuse and neglect of older persons. As we begin, please know that while I am incredibly grateful to each of you gathered with us today, I do need to say a few words about those who are positioned directly behind me on these magnificent marble steps behind me under this spectacular dome in our state capitol. An awesome, awesome public space and a Commonwealth that was shaped by William Penn, a man who throughout his lifetime ensured that people were encouraged and ensured that people who are courageous enough, persistent enough, and resourceful enough can live free. Please know that these men and women who are gathered behind me serve as either protective service investigators, supervisors, or area agency on aging directors in counties from across the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, who every day, these protective service investigators are the first responders to victims of elder abuse, who every day at their local area agency on aging uphold our Commonwealth's Older Adult Protective Services Act to protect all older Pennsylvanians from abuse and neglect, and who today, on World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, we at the Pennsylvania Department of Aging recognize for their professional excellence and leadership in the area of elder abuse, prevention, protection, and advocacy. Thank you. In those words and in that example of William Penn, these protective service investigators are courageous, persistent, and resourceful. And because of them, older Pennsylvanians can live free from all types of abuse, neglect, exploitation, and abandonment. We are thankful for their service and for their presence with us today on World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, when we take a stand to raise public awareness about elder abuse. To begin, joining me now to my right is Pennsylvania's 33rd Lieutenant Governor, who on January 20th, 2015, was sworn into this role, which calls him to serve as the presiding officer of the Pennsylvania Senate. But prior to this role, our Lieutenant Governor served as a member of the Pennsylvania State Senate. And as he has had many distinguished titles and has served our country and our state in many different capacities in numerous roles throughout his career, from my selfish lens, the most important of these roles is when he served in the Senate on the Aging and Youth Committee. So please join me in welcoming our Lieutenant Governor, Mike Stack.
Thank you again, Secretary. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. Well, I'm delighted to be with you all today, and to these folks, it's great to see you all. Thank you so much for what you're doing. And thanks everybody for turning out to pay attention to a really important issue that sometimes gets beneath the radar, and that's elder abuse. And what kind of a state will we be if we're not making sure we do everything we can to protect folks who have gotten older in Pennsylvania, our parents, our grandparents, our, let's face it, brothers, sisters, our family. And Pennsylvania is one of the it's one of the older states in America. We have so many good things that we do for older Pennsylvanians, but one of the most important things we can do is protect our folks with safety. And I ran into some of the people from my old senatorial district on my way down the Rotunda steps from Mayfair Seniors, And these folks, I mean, are living great and vibrant lives. People are living to older ages, being more and more vibrant, but there are still many folks that at many different times become vulnerable. And that's why it's so important that everybody's here, that we talk about this issue, and we do everything we can to protect folks from elder abuse. And I'll tell you, Secretary Osborne is the best there is as a Secretary of Aging. She does an unbelievable job on this issue. But, so, as we know, elder abuse is something that touches each and every one of us, people that we care about, and we've got to do everything we can do to prevent it, to recognize it, and to take action. And it could happen in our own family, but it could happen to a neighbor or someone else who we know in our community, and we see it, and it's our job to speak up. It's a widespread problem, and it's a problem that is often hidden in the shadows for the same reasons that many abuse problems are, because of stigma and shame and other issues, isolation. So that's why annual events such as World Elder Abuse Awareness Day is so crucial. And in order to combat it, we must understand what constitutes elder abuse. And we've got to be alert to all the signs. Elder abuse is a global societal issue which impacts the health and human rights of millions of older adults in the world. Preventing elder abuse must not only be part of a national conversation about how we care for older Americans, it's got to be part of the Commonwealth's plan to support and protect older Pennsylvanians. So I'm very proud of our Department of Aging and also our Department of Banking and Securities, not just for their efforts in raising awareness on this particular day, but for their vigilance and affirmative efforts year-round on this problem. Elder abuse can take many forms. It is not only obvious physical battering that leaves bruises or broken bones. It can also take the form of severe neglect or financial exploitation. And these forms can leave the older members of society vulnerable to even more severe injury, or short on assets or dramatically short on assets that they could be using for things such as long-term care and to be able to stay in their homes. A senior might wind up unable to afford basic necessities of life, or for that matter, just to be able to have the full enjoyment in their sunset years. And often, if this happens to them, they may not talk about it out of shame, and so we've got to watch out for that. Also, because elder abuse is so difficult to identify, and because it's often not reported, firm statistics are not easy to obtain. But many studies done in recent years suggest that the number of cases in this country each year are in the hundreds of thousands, and perhaps well into the millions when financial abuse is included. So according to the Federal Department of Health and Human Services, seniors lose, get this folks, $2.6 billion or more annually from abuse and fraud. So, I call upon Pennsylvanians to educate yourselves on the signs of elder abuse, ask questions if you suspect something is not right, and use the resources available from state government, beginning, of course, with our Department of Aging and our Department of Banking and Securities, to get assistance for any senior who you suspect is suffering from abuse. The life and health of someone you love or care about may be at stake. And by raising awareness across society and doing all you can to prevent elder abuse from occurring, you might even be protecting your own future, because we never know who might end up as a victim one day and might be somebody very close to us. So God bless you all for what you're doing. Please let me and Governor Wolf know what other things we can do to help. And once again, I want to thank our Secretary of Aging and, of course, our Secretary of Banking and Securities and all the folks here who are working on this issue for the work they're doing on world elder abuse. And let's keep the fight going and try and get this world to one day one where it completely respects our older people and never, ever abuses any of them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Grateful. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Stack, for taking the time to join us today and for sharing such inspiring and insightful words with us. We are now going to hear from Leona Walters. Leona serves as the Executive Director for the Senate Aging and Youth Committee, who is going to say a few words on behalf of the chairman of that particular committee, Art Haywood.
Pretty short, so hopefully this will work. I am Leona Walters. I am here to represent Senator Art Haywood, Chairman of the Senate Aging and Youth Committee today, as his Executive Director for the committee. Senator Haywood is very sorry he can't join us for this important event that ensures people are aware of the existence of elder abuse, neglect, and exploitation, but I will attempt to do him and this critical issue justice. We are blessed in Pennsylvania to have a multi-pronged effort to combat elder abuse and neglect from the Department of Aging, its Ombudsman program, the Attorney General, the Judiciary, DHS, and its Office of Long-Term Living, and Chairman Hennessey and Samuelson in the House. Of course, Senator Haywood is deeply blessed to have such a strong relationship with his committee co-chair, Senator Brooks, whose mutual passion to prevent elder abuse, neglect, and exploitation is much stronger than party. Most of all, we are grateful to Secretary Osborne for being such a warrior, and I mean warrior, in defense of our senior population. However, none of this means our job to protect our parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, siblings, and friends is done. Elder abuse is a quiet plague that can come in many different forms: physical, emotional, financial, and even healthcare fraud. About 29% of non-institutionalized older Pennsylvanians live alone, which often can lead to self-neglect, as many of our elderly citizens lose the ability to care for themselves. Between 1 and 2 million Americans aged 65 and older have been injured, exploited, or mistreated by someone whom they depended on for care. It's estimated that for every 1 case reported, 5 go unreported. By educating the public about these issues, we can help more citizens to recognize the signals of elder abuse. Victims of abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation have 3 times the risk of dying prematurely. These older adults deserve proper care, and yet in certain situations they are practically disregarded. Take a 64-year-old Lancaster amputee who depended on a personal care aide to help him bathe, dress, and fix meals. Instead of assisting the man, police alleged that the aide neglected him so poorly that he developed skin ulcers deep enough to reach his muscle and bone. When he finally checked into a local hospital, doctors found severe wounds all over his lower body, including his 1 remaining leg, which he ended up losing because of complications from these wounds. Another woman in Bucks County was about to enter a nursing home. She asked her neighbor to look out for her personal finances. Rather than pay the nursing home bills, the neighbor allegedly spent the money on numerous luxury vacations, casino trips, country club and golf club memberships, and expensive jewelry. The neighbor also used the money for home repairs and business expenses for her husband. She was arrested, as she should have been, and faces 5 felony-related theft charges. Financial exploitation, and this is worth repeating, because this is a very good point made by the Lieutenant Governor. Financial exploitation costs older Americans $2.6 billion nationally. The sad truth is combating elder abuse and neglect will never be done, as we must always be vigilant to protect the seniors in our midst, and eventually ourselves, from falling into premature decline due to needless and callous disregard. These people were teachers, lawyers, doctors, home health care workers themselves, laborers, legislators, and more. They deserve the same respect given to you and me standing here today. That said, the uplifting truth is that every one of us has the power to protect those we love every day. If you suspect anything, please call the Elder Abuse 24-hour hotline at 1-800-490-8505. Again, Senator Haywood deeply regrets his absence, but please know that he now and always will spread the word that elder abuse, neglect, and exploitation exists, and will now and always advocate for real solutions in this battle for social and moral justice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for your support and the leadership of Senator Haywood and certainly Senator Brooks in our efforts. Ever so much appreciated. To be certain, acknowledging the significance of elder abuse, as we've heard, is a public health and a human rights issue. World Elder Abuse Awareness Day serves as a call to action for individuals, organizations, and communities to raise awareness about abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation. Community organizations, places of worship, and small businesses, including pharmacies, grocery stores, and banks, are on the front line when it comes to elder abuse prevention. We are fortunate in Pennsylvania for many things, including to have a governor who every day reminds members of his cabinet to work together, to partner, to collaborate, to ensure that government works to serve, protect, and prevent protection of abuse of all Pennsylvanians. To this end, at the Department of Aging, we have attempted to take advantage of every partnership opportunity to prevent and to respond to elder abuse, which includes financial fraud and financial exploitation. And gratefully, we have found much success in our collaboration with Secretary Robin Weissman, who is the Secretary of the Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities, and joining us here today on her behalf is Deputy Secretary of their department, Brian LaForme.
Thank you, Secretary Osborne, and thanks to everyone here today for your resolve to help fight elder abuse in Pennsylvania. At the Pennsylvania Department of Banking and Securities, we're especially committed to protect senior citizens from elder financial abuse. Make no mistake, financial fraud of seniors is a form of elder abuse. Too often, it's under-recognized and under-reported. At the Department of Banking and Securities, we're implementing Governor Wolf's Consumer Financial Protection Initiative. One of the goals is helping to protect seniors from financial abuse. We're working with healthcare professionals and legal professionals across the state to help them recognize and appropriately report suspected financial abuse of elders. Our outreach staff visits communities across Pennsylvania to speak with groups on financial issues to seniors such as identity theft, avoiding scams, and even understanding complex products like reverse mortgages. If your group is interested in one of our presentations, just email us at informed@pa.gov. That's informed@pa.gov. We're grateful for the partnerships that we have with the Department of Aging and also with our support with AARP of Pennsylvania and the Investor Protection Trust, who help enable our work. There are steps that all of us can take today. First, watch for signs of elder financial abuse. Learn the red flags of financial abuse. Understand and know how to respond, what questions you can ask of your friends and your family members. And fourth, know where to report suspected elder abuse, including financial abuse. If you have questions about financial issues, don't hesitate to call the Department of Banking and Securities at our toll-free helpline. It's 1-800-PA-BANKS. Victims of elder abuse come in all forms and from all walks of life. But the one thing they have in common is a right to enjoy their retirement years with a basic sense of security. Today, let us join with partners around the world in raising awareness of elder financial abuse, acknowledging that it can happen to any one of us at any time, even our friends and family. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deputy Secretary, for your leadership, for your partnership, and for your willingness to share those words with us today. Calling attention to the problem of elder abuse and working with others who fight to bring justice to victims of elder abuse requires that each and every one of us takes a stand. our next two speakers understand these responsibilities and are willing to do whatever they can to guard against the despicable act of elder abuse. Each has responded by sponsoring legislation to make certain that those who are abused or exploited, those who do this to our seniors, do not go unpunished. And each of these next two gentlemen are dedicated to ensuring that our state agencies have the resources necessary to protect those who cannot protect themselves. And as the chairs of my oversight committee in the House Aging and Older Adult Services Committee, I am incredibly grateful for their leadership and their willingness to work with me and service to the 2.9 million individuals age 60 and over who call Pennsylvania home. First, we will hear from Chairman Tim Hennessey and then from Chairman Steve Samuelson.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I'm pleased to be here with Secretary Osborne, Chairman Samuelson, Lieutenant Governor Stack, the brave people behind me, and all of you to promote Elder Abuse Awareness Day here in Pennsylvania. In doing so, we join people all around the world in recognizing our senior citizens as a valuable resource. Seniors have a wealth of information, experience, advice. They can help us, and they should be respected because of what they can do for us. But more than that, sometimes they need to be protected. And we can all have a part in protecting them. We can do that. We can help. We can care. We can notify the authorities. And by the authorities, I mean the people behind me. We have a wonderful AAA network here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And each of those AAAs have protective services people who work with them. We have a Department of Aging with Protective Services Unit. We have a new ombudsman, a wonderful ombudsman, Margaret Barajas. And she has a team of people that work together with all of the people behind me to try to make sure that we catch this problem of elder abuse before it gets too big. As I said, we have agencies that can respond, but they can't do it until they know that there's a problem. And that's where we can all help. So be aware, be a friend, be a reporter of elder abuse. You've heard the number 1-800-490-8505. Working together, as Steve and I do as chairs of the co-chairs of the House Aging and Older Adult Services Committee, working together, we can make Pennsylvania and the world a better place for the victims of elder abuse. My co-chair, Steve Samuelson.
Thank you, Representative Hennessey. The theme of this year's Elder Abuse Awareness Day tells us that we're all united against elder abuse. Yesterday in the House of Representatives, we unanimously passed House Resolution 926, which designates Elder Abuse Awareness Day. And this morning in our Aging and Older Adult Services Committee, we had a public hearing on protective service efforts underway around the state. We all agree that elder abuse is a horrible crime that inflicts immeasurable pain and suffering on its victims and on the people who love and care for them. Area agencies on aging, under the leadership of Secretary Teresa Osborne, are out there every day protecting vulnerable senior citizens. They do remarkable work. And I want to say a word to the protective services workers who are standing behind me. Theirs is a difficult job and often a thankless job, but it is a most important job. Thank you for your dedication to Pennsylvania's aging population. There are some things we all can do to battle elder abuse. First, we can learn the signs of physical or mental or financial abuse. And if you suspect something, report it. We can also check on elderly family, friends, and neighbors. Check on their caregivers to see how they're holding up. And if they're overwhelmed or exhausted, offer a helping hand. And also, as a state and as a society, as a Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, we must always continue to value our senior citizens. By supporting our area agencies on aging, by getting involved when we suspect elder abuse, and by valuing our seniors, we will turn the tide on elder abuse and make Pennsylvania a place where people age with dignity and without fear. Thank you very much.
Thank you guys for what you do.
Thank you, Chairman Hennessey and Samuelson. In addition to their kind acknowledgement of the efforts that took place in the House this morning, I also share that Governor Wolf also signed a proclamation today naming June 15th, 2016 Elder Abuse Awareness Day in Pennsylvania. On his behalf, I encourage all Pennsylvanians to learn more about the signs of elder abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation, and to help raise awareness of this public health issue. Finally, we turn to an individual who is dedicated and passionate, a true advocate in every sense of that word. Karen Buck is the Executive Director of the Senior Law Center, an entity that is committed to improving the lives of seniors and protecting their rights through legal representation, education, and advocacy. Karen Buck.
Thank you, Secretary Osborne, and thank you all for being here. We're just delighted and proud to be a part of this recognition of a national and global crisis, which is elder abuse and financial exploitation of older Pennsylvanians and older Americans. And as Secretary Osborne noted, we are lawyers and advocates at Senior Law Center who are fighting for and protecting the rights of older Pennsylvanians, and it's truly our joy and pleasure to do so. You may notice that there's a lot of purple in this room, including on these steps. Everyone who's wearing purple, raise their hand. Okay. Purple is the color of passion, and it's the color of elder abuse awareness. And so please remember that on next June 15th and throughout the month of June, that purple is the color that represents elder abuse awareness. I'm going to spend my couple of minutes, and I'll be very brief, telling you a story about a client who came to Senior Law Center who was suffered devastatingly at the hands of a financial abuser. He was a World War II veteran, a true American hero, and a brave American. Ray White is currently 91 years old. He fought at the Battle of the Bulge in 1944 and served his country bravely. He was a stockbroker and a financial person throughout his life, worked hard all his life, was a homeowner, and looked forward to a comfortable retirement in his golden years in Philadelphia. However, in early 2012, defendant Melvin McIlwain befriended him and claimed to have a mutual interest in Ray's antique cars. He had an old Bentley and a Mercedes at home in Philadelphia. Thus began a one-year deception scheme in which McIlwain coerced Mr. White into turning over title to his vehicles, taking out a home equity loan, defrauding Ray into unknowingly selling his home, stealing all of the proceeds of the sale, and stealing or destroying all of Ray's personal possessions, including his World War II military memorabilia and uniforms. This perpetrator, Melvin McIlwain, carefully groomed Ray, making him feel unsafe, isolated, and threatened, so that he solely relied on him. Ray then found himself penniless and homeless and in the parking lot of the VA hospital. But the good news is that justice was served. Through the efforts of the Philadelphia Police Department and the Philadelphia District Attorney's Office, Melvin McIlwain was arrested, tried, and please, big round of applause, was sentenced to 7.5 to 14.5 years. Simultaneously, Senior Law Center assembled a legal team working with pro bono attorneys at Blank Rome Law Firm who filed a civil lawsuit on behalf of Ray. And together we were able to recover many of his possessions and belongings. And I'm happy to report that just recently that civil lawsuit has been resolved by agreement. So civil and criminal justice systems have come together to serve this veteran and make him whole. And while we continue to fight to recover some of his belongings, cash, and items seized by the perpetrator's home, and we feel very strongly that Ray is feeling very empowered and optimistic about his future. Ray could not be here today. He's very frail and vulnerable. And this financial exploitation scheme has taken a huge toll on him, but I did want to share some words from Ray's victim impact statement at the criminal trial. "I speak today," he said, "for the many thousands of elderly victims as myself. In many cases, the realization you've been victimized comes too late, and the scammer has your property and money. If we allow these voracious predators to prey upon our vulnerable seniors, they will be successful in taking our nest eggs and our money. When a senior becomes a victim of crime, it is a life-shattering experience. There are many potential unsuspecting elderly victims facing poverty who choose to end their own lives and just give up hope in living. I know this too well, and that financial exploitation and elder abuse is often equivalent to murdering those victims." Those are Ray's words. So as we mark World Elder Abuse Awareness Day here in Pennsylvania, and as other cities and towns across the nation and across the globe do so, let us recommit to fighting for elder justice, to saying no to elder abuse, to saying yes to protecting the rights of our seniors, and to seeking justice for every older American. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Karen, for sharing those words of yours as well as those of Ray's, and for your constant pursuit of elder justice and your partnership with us. As Karen just pointed out, every day, headlines throughout the world paint a grim picture of seniors just like Ray White, who have been abused, neglected, or financially exploited, often by the very people they trust. Our statewide number has been mentioned several times, and if you haven't looked at it enough already, it still is behind me, 1-800-490-8505. Every day, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, an individual can pick up the phone and call that number and receive a response from our first responders, who we have recognized over the course of our time together today. And over the course of my career, one obligation among many has stood out among all others, and that is similar to many of you in this room: to speak up, to step up, and to protect our seniors. But we cannot do this alone. So please join me as we again recognize these incredible protective service investigators, supervisors, and area agency and aging directors, as well as staff from the Department of Aging. And as a former protective service investigator myself, thank them for the work that they do every day. Because of their efforts, every day, older Pennsylvanians are safe and can live free from harm, free from neglect, free from abuse. For these seniors' countless contributions to our nation, to our society, and to our lives, we owe them nothing less. So thank you for pausing with us at the Pennsylvania Department of Aging to recognize World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, as has occurred in communities across the country and across the world on this day, June 15th. Please pledge with us that, as these posters indicate, we will, one person, one action, one state, raise awareness, and protect our seniors from all forms of abuse, neglect, and exploitation. Thank you so much.